Yes. Yes, we will start, sir.
All right, from start. All right. So wonderful evening to one and all present here, and a very warm welcome to this International Business Innovators Summit 2021, organized by ABCD International. And this has been going since last 10 days now. This is the 10th day. And on this lovely evening of grand finale, I should call it, I welcome you all here. And to moderate this summit along with me, I have Ms. Rutika Meshkar from Nagpur. She is the founder director of Rutika's Upskilling Training Academy. She is a communication enhancer. She is an NLP and life coach. She has over a decade of experience in the field of training students, teachers, and corporates.
Yes, along with me, I have Mr. Prabhat Kapoor, who is a senior corporate trainer and he's been in this journey for over 12 years now. He's a chief learning officer at Viz Aliens Consulting, TTT certified trainer, NLP practitioner, and a consultant with huge network of trainers pan-India. Nice to know you, Prabhat.
Fantastic. Same here. So a formal welcome to all of you. Before we start, as Eleanor Roosevelt has said, the purpose of life is to live it, to taste the experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience. And with this quote, I'd like to welcome you all. And I'm pretty sure this summit last 9-10 days have been a great experience for all the participants. So today, let us start and let us go on to this last lap of this journey of enriching experience. And before we formally begin today, as a part of our tradition, we will light the lamp and we'll have a music with it. Everyone who would like to be part of it can light a lamp at your own respective places. And because, we are already in a online event. So over to you, Akash.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Meanwhile, I would request to all the other participants who are there in this meeting, please switch on your cameras.
Okay, thank you, Prabhat sir. Thank you, Rutika ma'am.
With this, we pray that may this light be there for all of us till eternity.
Yes, absolutely. And with this beautiful and auspicious tradition that we follow, it brings to me, a very important thing that I would like to share about ABCD family. After which we'll be also looking for, we will be also watching this, the video of this beautiful family is the unique concept that this ABCD International follows. I mean, how many of us have actually seen the lightning of the light happening in the real time in this virtual event? So when we talk about ABCD International, I would like to share a few points about it, and those are ABCD International is all about having a different concept altogether. ABCD International is all about having people to grow together. ABCD International is all about having to reach the desired goal, taking everyone in consideration. And so when a person wants to reach to that height, he reaches, he can go single-handedly also, but ABCD International is one organization which believes in going along with the family. It might be slow, but then it will take along everyone with us, so everyone with it. So this is all of ABCD which I really wanted to speak about. And yes, let's know more about this family with this video that I'm going to share. So be equally excited as I am to share this video. I hope the video is visible, and here I play it. Is the video visible and audible both?
Yes,
It is, yes. It's not audible now.
Just a second.
Please play again from the beginning.
Let me share it again. Just a second. Just a second. Yes, so it seems like one man family, but then it is one man family, actually a family who is made by this one man. So welcome Akash, and welcome each one of you in this wonderful session, in this wonderful 10 today session. And I would also invite and welcome all the event mentors here, starting with Dr. Manoj Sehgal, who is the chairperson of ABCD International, Dr. Sheila Bisp, who is a co-chairperson of ABCD International, Dr. Rabia Bhatia, who is the Chief Advisory Commissioner of ABCD International, and Ms. Himanshi Aval, who is the Chief Mentor of ABCD International. Welcome every one of you, and I'm so glad to see you here. And with this, I hand over the session to Prabhat. Over to you, Prabhat.
Thank you so much, Rutika. And again, I'd like to welcome all of you to the 10th session. And please do not feel that this is the last session of this series, this summit. However, feel that this is that one last lap where you pick up all the energy that you have and you try to win. So let us make the maximum out of this particular session today, right? And today's theme is LGBTQ community. Many of us might not even know what is this all about. So let us go ahead and go towards our very first esteemed speaker and get to know everything about LGBTQ. So everyone who's available here, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Arpana Chaudhary, who is a trans masculine person from Tezpur, Assam, better known as Luku. Luku is a postgraduate in mass communication and journalism from Tezpur University. In 2015, Luku joined the organization called Nazdeek of New Delhi and worked with Adivasi women living in tea plantation of Assam. Luku has successfully trained more than 1,000 Adivasi women from across Assam on human rights. In February 2017, the Forbes magazine India recognized Luku as one of the 30 most influential, one of the 30 most influential young personalities of India in its 30 under 30 list, right? For their work and Adivasi women, their collaboration towards, with these Adivasi women. Luku has been termed as the messiah for women at the bottom of the pyramid. Luku currently works at Green Hub, which is an initiative of Northeast Network Dusty Foot Foundation. It is basically a fellowship program that engages with youth in conservation action and social change. Luku is also the co-founder of Zobdo, XOBDO, an initiative based in Tezpur that works towards upholding the dignity of LGBTQ and plus identifying through the creation of dialogue and movement. And with this, I'd like to welcome Arpana Chaudhary, preferred name Luku.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hi, Prabhat. Hi,
Luku.
Akash. Hi, Rutika, and all the other esteemed guests. It's a pleasure to be here today in the 10 days event which has been organized by ABCD International, and thank you for giving us this platform, and all the other speakers as well for giving us all this platform to share our experiences, to share about our initiatives, I would say. So I would like to start with the LGBTQI plus community before coming to my organization Hopdo and how it started. So LGBTQI plus is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, queer, questioning, asexual, and the plus stands for the entire spectrum of queer identities. It can be pansexual, it can be polysexual, it can be anything else, whatever anybody identifies as. So so basically we live in a very binary world, right, where it's just male and female. It's like what can I say, it's very black and white, like just male and female, man and women, boy and girl. But then LGBTQI plus is it's the shades of gray in between the black and the white. So but we would like to call ourselves shades of rainbow. As you know, rainbow is our representation, which is it's happiness. Rainbow is it's a symbol of happiness, it's a symbol of light, and it's a symbol of everything that binary is not. So that is what LGBTQI plus is. So I would today like to talk about my experiences, about my life and how Hobdo came about. I have always identified as a transgender person. When I was a child, I was put in an all-girls school by my parents because I was born in a physical, physicality, I would say. I was not born in a female body, so my parents thought that I identify as a girl because our education system is like that, right? Because we are never taught about transgenders. We have never been taught about transgenders. We have never been properly, our education system is such that in our Indian families are such that we do not talk about anything. We do not even talk about menstruation for that matter. So I grew up as a trans person, but then I knew right from my childhood that I was homosexual as well, meaning that I like girls, and I was put into an all girls school, and it was very difficult for me, which in a way it also affected my academics. And in my childhood, I was termed as gadha, and these were the terms used for me, gadha, and what can I say, donkey, somebody who is not interested in studies. You should start working at because you're not interested in studies. You will get you married off because you're not interested in studies. Because in our Indian culture, everything is just related to studies. It's all related to education. But parents never give a thought to what the education system is teaching us. What the education system, what are we really learning? For example, I still remember when I got my puberty at the age of I don't know, 11 or 12, I think. At that point of time, I didn't know anything about menstruation. I thought I was a guy. I didn't care what body I was born in. I thought I was a boy because I was a trans man, so I thought I was a boy. And suddenly I had my puberty, and suddenly I was like, oh God, what is this? you know but we are never taught about that. In the same manner, growing up, I never had somebody that I could talk to. I never had somebody that I could look up to. Having crushes on girls was an all girls thing. It was a convent school thing, because I was put in a convent school, so it was okay for convent girl to have a crush on a convent girl, because later on when they reach college, they are going to forget all about it. That was what the thought process was. But I didn't. I reached college and I realized that life hadn't changed for me. And growing up, after I hit puberty, as my body started changing, I started getting dysphoria. So dysphoria is a condition wherein one is not comfortable and one cannot identify with the body that they are born in. So basically, that is gender dysphoria. So coming back to now, what is gender? So basically, gender, I'm sure all of you know that gender is, it's a social term, gender. So basically, gender in Hindi can be termed as samajik ling, right? It can be termed as samajik ling, because it is a societal construct, in the sense that society builds gender. That if I am born with a female body, then my mother will go and get a pink dress for me. If I am born in a female body, my mother will go and get a Barbie doll for me. And if I am born in a male body, then my mother will get a toy like a truck or something, or an airplane or something like that. And growing up, if I am a guy, I would be given all the privileges in the world. बेटा है चलो जाओ मतलब go, you play outside, play the whole day long, we don't have anything to say. If you're a girl, no, girls should not move out, girls should not move, girls should not be outside of their homes for too late, girls should not do this, girls should not do that. These are gender rules that are put on us. So much so that growing up, we believe that since I am a girl, these are certain things that I need to do, because my education system is also teaching me exactly that. Farmer bole to there is always a man on our textbook. Farmer hai to फिर there will be a man. When more than 50% of farmers in this world are women, but farmer है तो man, doctor है तो man, teacher है तो woman, और woman वो भी साड़ी में. ठीक है. So these are some kind of these are things that are put into our mind right from the beginning, right, as we grow up, starting from kindergarten. These are things that are put in our mind through our textbook, through our parents' learnings, through our grandparents, through society. So this is what gender is. That giving certain roles to certain sex. So what is sex? Sex is basically what we are born as. For example, if I am born with female reproductive organs, my sex is female. If I am born with male reproductive organs, my sex is male. So based on the sex that I am born in, some certain gender roles are put into me. So this gender and sex, when they do not, go parallelly, that is when a person has dysphoria. And dysphoria, when dysphoria is created, that person can identify their gender identity, does not match their sex. Those people are called transgenders. By transgenders, we don't just mean, people you see on the streets, that is Hijra people. Hijra is a community. Hijra is a community that has been, what can I say, present in the South Asian space, be it Pakistan, be it Sri Lanka, be it India, in all of these countries, Hijra's presence have been, been there. And it is the oldest transgender community in the world. And the transgender community, like, sometimes people come to me and say that, oh, this is not natural, whatever you're doing is not natural, homosexuality is not natural, and it is against our culture, it is against our traditions and customs. Then I tell them that, if you look at the Mahabharata, then even if it weren't for Shikhandi, the Pandavas would not have won the Mahabharata. And Shikhandi was a transgender person. If you go to, the Khajuraho temples, you will see, depictions of homosexuality there in the constructions there, in the the statues there, in whatever is constructed there, you'll see depictions of homosexuality. Look at the Kama Sutra. It originated from India. You will see depictions of homosexuality. Then how can you say it is against our culture, right? And when people say it's unnatural, homosexuality is present in 600 plus, beings, 600 plus living beings in nature. So, people who say that homosexuality is natural, homosexuality is against our culture, need to, look into these things, because ultimately it's the education system that is not, teaching us these things. It is the problem in the education system that has been leading us to think in a certain manner about homosexuality, about transgenders, about gender identity. There are a lot of things, and I know that the time is short, so I can't really talk a lot, because when I start talking about LGBTQI+, I go into different space. But yeah, coming back to my point, so growing up, because I did not have anybody to talk to, and I could not, I could not share what was going inside me. When people were calling me Gadha because I could not study, because I could not, attend, I couldn't attend my lessons, I couldn't put attention to my studies. It is only now at the age of 30 that I have realized, recently at that too, that this is the reason. My gender dysphoria was the reason why, I could not put my full attention into my academics. And because of all these reasons, and then, going through, in order to, fit in to society, in order to fit in with my peers, I started behaving, very female like. I tried to be female, I tried to, be straight, I tried to behave straight. But after a point, I realized, no, this is not me. I am actually losing myself in the process. And so much, I have lost so much of me in the process that I don't even know who I am anymore. And that is exactly when the 4th and the 30th thing happened. And it kind of gave me a different kind of a strength, because all this while I was the black sheep of the family. People knew me as somebody who was like, degraded, downtrodden, iska to kuch nahi hoega, kind of. And then suddenly the 4th and the 30 happened, and it gave me different kind of strength, so much so that, I actually came out of the closet. Suddenly one day, I had been contemplating that for a long time. But then, one day I went up to my sisters, I went up to my mother and said that, guys, I am homosexual. I like girls. And yeah, it took them a lot of time to, accept it as a fact. They thought a lot of things had to do with it, because of my hostel, I had become like that, because I was meeting people like that, so I had become that. But eventually they also realized why, I came out of the closet eventually. And I think eventually they also realized what I was and what I am is actually quite at par with each other. And that that thing, that coming out and me accepting my sexual and gender identity gave me the strength and made me realize that, how much there is a need to start a dialogue around LGBTQI plus, around gender, sex, sexuality. Educate people, really educate people, and not just go and talk about it just for the sake of talking about it. That is when, I and a few friends of mine, we started the dialogue here in Tesco. We did one event, just one event at the Tesco University. So that event was, I think, the first ever such event in Tesco where somebody was talking about LGBTQIA plus. It was called Queer Essential, which means queer talk is essential, and it was derived from the word quintessential. So when we did the Queer Essential, we also gave a platform to people from the Hijra community, people from the trans community, people from different sexualities, gender identities, to just come and talk about themselves. And we also, what we did is, because we think that video is a very strong medium of communication, in the sense that something, while I'm talking, a person might only be listening, but a person might not be putting their full attention into it. But when I'm showing a video, because it's moving, a person has their full attention on it. So what we did was, in that event, we also showed the film on LGBTQIA plus to the people. So when that event happened, the response that we got from the people, it kind of just made us realize what we were missing all this while. It made me realize that this is what was missing all my life. A person, a community, a group who I could have met as well. Back in my childhood, I would not have had to face so many issues. I would not have had to face so much of discrimination, or so much of stigma. And I could have faced myself. I could have looked into the mirror and accepted myself. I could have looked at the mirror and said that, yes, Luku, you are homosexual, you are a trans person, and that is okay. It's okay to be like that. You do not have to pretend to be somebody else altogether. That is when I felt that, and that is when Hobdo started. So Hobdo is an Assamese word. In Assamese, Hobdo means both words and sound. So the idea behind Hobdo is to create words and sound to create dignity. To use words and sound to create dialogue, because we wanted to start talking about it. We wanted to start educating people around it. So we wanted to create dialogue. Through dialogue, we wanted to create a movement, and through this movement here in Tezpur, we wanted to restore the dignity of the people identifying as LGBTQI plus. Because Tezpur is like a town. I wouldn't say it's a small town. There are smaller towns in Assam, but geographically it's quite a small town. So and when we did the first quintessential, after that we have been reaching out to a lot of other people. We have been reaching out to several schools, we have been reaching out to several colleges, we have been reaching out to several youth groups, and every time the response has been like, where have you been all this while? In every event, you won't believe, somebody or the other comes up to us and tells us that I identify as homosexual, or I identify as a trans person, and I have been looking out for a person like you all my life. And when somebody tells you something like that, it just hits you. It hits you so hard, and you understand that, okay, this initiative, this initiative that I have taken is meaningful. This initiative that I have taken has been worth it. This entire journey has been worth it. And maybe had I met somebody, maybe had I met somebody who was like me long back, maybe I would not have gone through the struggle to, someday reach a point where I can actually say that, okay, I am the pioneer of the queer movement here in my hometown. Probably I would not have been able to say that. But I think it's almost, although it has been very hard, it has been very hard. It has, my lived experiences have been very hard. The struggle has been hard, but the fruit that I am getting out of it has been very sweet. And this entire journey, I would say, has been very, has been kind. Yeah, all, even through the struggles, I would say this journey has been kind. And my parents have been very supportive, my friends have been very supportive, my siblings have been very supportive. And I can say that very few LGBT people have such parents, or close friends or family who have been so supportive to them, because there are a lot of people I know who have been kicked out of their houses and who have been ambushed out of nowhere. And and there have been families who have tried moral policing, or there have been families that have tried to make their LGBTQI plus identifying kids straight, basically, or uh, trying to take them to witch doctors, trying to uh, electrify them in order to because giving them shock therapy in order to make them straight. So all of these things are going on because people think that this is a psychological disorder. What they do not understand, that this is a social disorder. And LGBTQI plus is not a social disorder. The homophobia is a social disorder. The transphobia is a social disorder. The phobia that one has towards LGBTQI plus people, the hatred that one has towards LGBTQI plus people, that is a disorder. So through the method that we are using, which is video, showing videos, showing films, and talking about it, talking about lived experiences, talking about educating people through this method. My organization Hobdog and my team members and I, we have been trying to change the perspective and the perceptions people have towards LGBTQIA plus. And so far we have been able to create quite an impact, and we hope that further, as we go along, we will still be able to change people's minds. We'll still be able to create a safe space for LGBTQI plus identifying people to live a life with dignity, basically. So yeah, that's it. If anybody has any questions, then you can definitely ask.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Arpana. It was lovely hearing you, and I must say, it was an honor for us. Actually, I feel so proud when I listened to you, when I heard you. And before I ask you anything, I would like to open this forum for 5 minutes for a minute of question answer. So if anyone have any question or want to discuss anything about the same, can do that. So please, the forum is open for you all.
Hi, Luku. Good evening. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Is this Sami?
Yeah, it's really nice to listen. And I think that it is the right time to make the society inclusive in the real sense. Because we are all fighting for the inclusive society, but not in a cold room. But at the grassroots level, we should educate the people more about the LGBTQI, because it's the right time to make people more aware. Thanks for being with us in this wonderful session. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sami.
Yes. So before we move to our second speaker, I have Arpana, a question for you. If I ask you to give one last message to all of us, like, see, you talked about educating or passing on the message to the people. If you want us that you should say one single sentence, right, a statement. What statement would you give us as a message to educate people, because in today's world, too much of messages that doesn't get registered much easily, but a statement, a powerful statement might. So what would that one statement be for us so that we can, educate people?
Um, I generally, it might sound funny and sarcastic, but generally, this is one statement that I like to use, and that is "leave and let live." Because because I think it's a very important statement in the sense that we are people too, right? Queer people are people too. We have human rights. We are being human beings. We are human rights, and it's not like we are not predators, right? It's not like you cannot stay in the same room as an LGBTQI plus person. It's not like we are predators, going for hunting, and we are like, oh, straight people, let's make them gay. No, we don't do that. So I think it's high time that people change their mentality. I think it's high time that people change their thought process, because yeah, I mean, I think we are all here for a reason, and we are all different. You cannot expect a fish to climb a tree. In the same sense, you can't expect everybody to be black and white, or everything to be black and white. Some things are just rainbow. So accept it and move on. Live and let live. Yeah.
Wow. Yes, so we have it all with us. Live and let live. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having to know about you, Arpana, and thank you so much. So moving forward with our another guest, with our another very dynamic guest, and I personally feel very glad to introduce her. And for some reason, it's I don't know, it's God's call that every time I introduce her. So welcome, Bindya. So Bindya is a Dell Carnegie certified trainer. She undertakes training for corporates and educational institutions alike. Her expertise lies in varied modules of soft skills, trails, and train the trainer. She has been awarded by ABVP for her leadership as the training and placement head at Sadhu Vaswani Institute of Management Studies for Girls. She is a certified graphologist and an image consultant too. So nice to have you here, and a great welcome. The forum is all yours, Vindhya.
Thank you, Rutika. As we've shared it before, that we clicked the minute we met, even though on digital platform. So yes, I feel that vibe too with you. Everyone, please allow me to just share my screen and let me know once it's there. So yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Hello, is it visible?
Yes, Vindhya, it is visible.
Okay, great. So yes, 17 September, it is the 10th day of the summit, the grand finale, and I'm so happy to be a speaker on the last day of it with, I wouldn't call it a bold topic, but a topic that needs consideration. It's high time, and that's LGBTQIA. I and A have recently been put in the community. I just want to spell it out for everyone: lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersexual, and asexual. So like, I am not shy of saying these words. I hope everyone in this summit and people in the future and present are not shy of saying these words. I welcome you all on behalf of ABCD International. That's me, Bindya Rangani, Rendezvous with Innovators. So since this time summit's main theme is Rendezvous with Innovators, I thought I should bring in some novel practices that have been brought about around the world. So here goes my first question to all of you. How many of you have heard about the website named World Rainbow Hotels? You could put a yes in the chat, or you could just raise your hand if you've heard about them. How many of you have heard about the website World Rainbow Hotels? Anyone? Not really, right? Great. I'm happy. because I would get the chance to tell you about it. So World Rainbow Hotels is a website that caters to this particular community, LGBTQIA. They provide the service of providing accommodation hotels for this particular community. Recently, they've tied up with 5 big names in India, including Taj Hotel in Mumbai as well. It's upcoming on their list. And they specifically provide this service to this particular community. Huge thing. I salute them for this. Next, if you must have seen in the news, Axis Bank recently announced some policies. 1 second. Yeah. So these policies are effective from 20th September 2021. Allow me to tell you a little about their policies. So it covers 2 groups, employees and customers, obviously internal customers and external customers. Employees are often known as internal customers. So first thing first, for the LGBTQIA community, employees can list their partners for Mediclaim benefits. So for those of you all who did not know earlier, if you had to list someone for Mediclaim benefits, it was your family members, so mother, father, and spouse and children. But this was limited to male, female. So if I am a female, my male spouse, or for my husband, it's the female spouse. Recently, they've allowed you, I mean you meaning the employees of Axis Bank, to list even their transgender or bisexual partner for Mediclaim benefits. Secondly, they can dress according to their gender or their gender expression. So for example, if I am a lesbian, I can dress up in a way I want. And no one else in the company is allowed to mock you for your dressing or mock you for your gender expression. Third, they can use the restroom of their choice. Now, this is very important because many a times a lot of people from this community face this problem that I would want to specifically use a female washroom, or I would want to specifically use a male washroom, even if by gender I'm the opposite. And many people just look at them with surprise, shock, embarrassment, awkwardness. That will no more be followed at Axis Bank. And the fourth one, the last one, they have a redressal process as well. So if they have any grievance to register or report, there's a special redressal mechanism that has been brought into place at Axis Bank. That was for the employees. Let us see what have they come in for customers. So customers can now open joint savings account or term deposit with their gay partner or bisexual partner, same gender partner, okay? They can add the title of MX instead of Miss, Mrs. or Mr. They are free to do that. So the fourth option that has come into place, or rather the fifth one, because a lot of people also give you doctor as the title. So Miss, Mrs., Mr., Dr., MX is the new one for this community. And the third one is they can make their same-sex partner a nominee. Many times when we register for an insurance, we are asked for a nominee. Yeah, the same-sex partner can now be appointed as a nominee. That's Axis Bank, the first private lender bank in the country to bring in policies that welcome LGBTQIA community. Their tagline goes as "Dil se open." I respect them for that. And I want to share a few more examples from the corporate. Adobe, many of you all know this company. So they every year have a summit, especially addressing the problems, the grievances, the topics related to this community. In 2019, this summit was held at San Jose. However, it was live streamed for all the employees, since of course not everyone could be called to San Jose. So it was the summit where who's who from the world came in, spoke about their views for this community and how they can take it forward. Next, we have Accenture. Accenture, of course, has been awarded for its diversity, inclusiveness, and what they do is, so they have these resource groups in various countries, resource groups relating to this community, particular community, And these resource groups help this community across the world. But most importantly, what they do is they help United Nations to operationalize the policies for this community. Okay, that's huge. Next, we have Apple. Apple, every year it releases the Apple Watch, which is especially released for this segment of LGBTQIA. And of course, they make donations from the proceeds that they earn from the sale of these watches, Apple watches specifically. And lastly, in my example, I have American Airlines. American Airlines follows a very special policy. I found it very interesting. So whoever they have as vendors listed, okay, for food or for other services, for equipments, they try and associate with those vendors who belong to this community, because they want to uplift them economically, socially, physically. That was very interesting. So all of these companies just start with A, if you must have noticed. Adobe, Accenture, Apple, American Airlines. This is just the beginning. A, alphabet A. There are companies that start with B, C, D, and so on till Z. So imagine how many examples do we have in front of us who are innovators, who are helping this community to come up, to speak, to express themselves. See, although I don't believe this community really needs help, what this community needs is acceptance. They can help themselves. But the acceptance can be brought about by coming up with these innovative practices. Yeah. And the last one is, I would want to discuss on what policies would you recommend that would make a conducive environment for this community in schools, particularly in education. I read in the chat that one Mr. Basu said that we need to educate people from grassroots level. And I strongly agree with that. So what policies would you recommend for schools to adopt for the conducive environment or acceptance of this community? May I have your views, please? Whether in the chat or if you want to speak up, that would be great. I would have someone else speaking along with me. Yes. Do we have something in the chat? Yes, Mr. Prabhat Kapoor, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'd like to mention this here.
I cannot hear you. 1 second.
Can anybody hear me? Can you hear me, Rutika?
Oh, okay. Then
Yes,
it's problem at my side. 1 second, 1 second. I'll just stop sharing.
Can you hear me now?
Mr. Kapoor, 1 second, yeah?
Okay, no worries.
Yeah. Now I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, super. So because we're talking about this, this very small, however, I believe effective thing came up a few days back. Not few days, few years back, I would say. We all had this phenomena, that salesman, chairman, postman, right?
Yeah.
So we all would imagine a man doing all these jobs, right? So now, then, when we had women also doing these jobs, probably from there we have now moved on that transgenders are also doing this kind of jobs, right? So now we are from that salesman, we're moving towards salesperson or sales associate, right? So this, I believe, this is a huge change, in the perspective and mindset of the people, which is I believe wonderful, right? So these kind of small changes can be done, can be given, can be supported with the help of all of us, wherever we are going. Like, for example, we all are trainers, right? So all of us being trainers and mentors and guides, we all can support this small phenomena, of not calling people like in salesman or chairman kind of language, but just changing that language to salesperson or sales associate or something like that.
Right. Yeah. And that also forms a part of respect towards every gender.
Correct.
So, it's not only a man who can become a chairman, but it's also a woman or from LGBTQIA community. I love that aspect, Prabhat Kapoorji. Very nice. In fact, I had read an article about this on LinkedIn 2 months back, wherein a company came up with the policy that we will address every person with chairperson, salesperson, like you just said. So yes, amazing insight. What else, anything else that we can do in our education, in our schools, that could make this environment conducive for this community? Acceptability can only give accessibility is what Mr. Samik Basu says in the chat. I agree. But Mr. Samik Basu, what I'm trying to ask is, how can we bring this acceptability?
We can start very small, I would say. For example, in our companies, what we can do is that we can have gender neutral toilets.
Yeah.
So that it shows an acceptability towards trans people.
Right.
Gender neutral toilets, or because I think is that we can't talk about equality here, because straight people have gone very far by now. So we cannot talk about equality. What we can talk about is equity. What we can talk about is some certain provisions that we can give that that helps people to reach that equality, because right today, in today's generation, when we are talking about feminism, when we are talking about equality and all of these things, equality should not be the discussion. Even it should be equity, small provisions, very very small provisions, which are like which might seem as discrimination towards the other people, but it can be called positive discrimination, I would say.
So like Axis Bank has come up with these policies wherein you can have a restroom for all the people. Similarly, you're saying all companies and schools should come up with it.
Exactly.
What I also feel is, when a student is being educated in under science science subject about this biological aspects. So like Miss Aparna ji, she had said that, she had faced a problem to identify her own body, her own physical being. So when teaching students about the biological makeup of a human being, these things should also be discussed. Do you think that's apt? Do you think students will be able to grasp that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. Because the thing is that, for example, I would say mathematics. Am I really putting whatever I taught, whatever was taught to me in practice? I have not been. I mean, have I been putting trigonometry into practice? No way have I done that. But how did I learn at that point of time? To pass to kar liya tha, samajh mein to aaya tha, definitely. So I'm sure this is also not rocket science. If taught properly, if teachers are inclusive, if the school is inclusive, then I'm sure they will be able to figure out a way of teaching the students to be as inclusive as possible.
Yeah, true. Also,
can I add to what Arpana said? In fact, trigonometry and all those silly subjects that we are taught in our redundant education system, I think that is rocket science. Understanding what we are made of, and forget why am I like this, but understanding what we are made of and what the other classmates can be made of. That has been, because there is no awareness, it looks like rocket science, but this is the real science and the art and whatever you call it that needs to be taught to people, especially the coming generation, because if we can learn this while we are in school, we'll be a lot more wholesome adults. Right now, the quality of adults across the world and in India also is not really good, but we can make the next upcoming generation a lot better by understanding what am I and what are the different type of people around me, instead of understanding the why part. Let's just get aware of kya available hai, what all is out there. Yeah, trigonometry out, this should be in.
Yeah, we have these anti-ragging policies, sexual harassment policies. I think point under them should also be included that LGBTQ people from or students from LGBTQIA are as much humans as everyone else is, and their ragging, their harassment will also lead to punishment or other penalty. This is also one thing that should come into educational institutions, along with change in the vision and mission of an educational institution or school. So it starts right from there, that you provide a vision, you provide a mission to that educational institution, and then others will follow. I think one Miss Vishakha wanted to say something. She had raised her hand.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Coming back to your questions, that what can we do about it? That
Yeah.
we need to find a way wherein we introduce this right during the early childhood education, right?
Yeah.
So when we look at the various materials, various aids that we use while we are teaching students, or while we are basically building their concepts and building the bi-gender construct into their minds, right? We need to introduce this right then. We need to have textbooks that include gender neutral names. We need to have textbooks that include some family that has a man and that loves another man, right? Or we can have similar kind of things. We can have similar kind of stories, similar kinds of poems. So because at that point the child is just building their concepts, right? And since I belong to the discipline of child development, I understand is that how critical it is, since those are the foundation years of a child, right? So introducing such little things right from the childhood would really make a huge difference. Although this problem goes right back to the time when a child is born and parents are like, "Kya hua hai, ladka ya ladki?" And the doctor is straight up like, "Ladka hua hai, ladki hui hai." Right? They do not give the room to the child to explore him or herself. What does he or she, or whatever the orientation may be,
Yeah. The label is given right from the
feels
birth.
for himself or herself, right? So this problem goes all the way back. But this is just a point that we can note, that we can start introducing such concepts right from the early childhood years. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Vishaka. For everyone, Aparna ji and Ms. Himanshi, they've put in references to what does the community stand for, what all does it include, and what is the meaning. If anyone would want to read, it's there in the chat box.
Adding to Vishaka, hi, Shomik here, Shomik Bas.
Yes.
So I was traveling, so I could not answer your question. So adding to Vishaka, the education system in India is not at all friendly with the LGBTQ community, though LGBTQ community is around 600 years old history. Okay. Some people, thousands and millions of people, they think that it's a new ball in a basket. No, not at all. Not at all. It's not a new ball in a basket. It's age-old tradition. It's the history of India. If we turn the pages of the history, we can look, like Loku had told. So what I myself, from the diversity and inclusion field, I feel that this LGBTQ word itself is missing in every school education system. There is no word where
You have muted yourself, Samikji.
you cannot see a single word is refers to LGBTQI. Why? Because unless and until we make the people learn about this full meaning of the word, it is very difficult for us to make them aware at a certain age that yeah, this is we are working for the diversity and inclusion and blah blah blah. So, and another main issue and challenges that I have faced is that the speak out, because at the age of 24, 23, 27, the girl cannot confess in front of, it's a bad word, like confess. So she cannot confess in front of her parents that yeah, I am a lesbian. She cannot. So why she cannot? She cannot because of different things, different perspective. Different perspective means lack of
Social
education.
stigmas that we have around us.
Yeah, the after effects in the family, there will be lack of acceptability and everything, blah blah. So my main concern is, unless and until, from government school to primary school to college to university, we must include that yeah, this is a community. This is a community. Even today also, when I speak about the LGBTQ community, many people think, or many people does not know that they have and they don't know about the trans man. They think that's transgender. No, Baba, transgender is different, trans man is different. So this awareness needs to be created at a huge mass level so that in the real meaning, the diversity and inclusion, we are fighting for inclusive society. DHL, Flipkart, Amazon, all these big shots, they are working for the diversity and inclusion. But we are missing somewhere. We are missing the real meaning of diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion means not only transgender, it's a lesbian, it's a gay, it's a bisexual, it's everything includes. That
Yeah.
is the lack of knowledge among those corporates also. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Basu, that's right. And that is why it should start right from schooling days, is what we all are trying to say. I think, I hope I've stayed in the time limit that was given to me. That was the last slide of presentation. That's Bindya Rangwani, and that's my LinkedIn ID if anyone wants to connect. And also, I'm open for questions if any.
Thank you so much, Bindya. It was really wonderful session that you have taken, and I am really, hopeful that everybody has thought of something at least, and this movement has started, and everybody's, at least the brain that we, that the picture is changing, right? So if that picture is changing, there is some movement. I believe that is the first step. And we will reach out to wherever we want to reach with the help of people like Karpana, and all of us, in fact, in support of her. All right. Any questions that we have for Bindya? Anybody? Though I believe we have all discussed a lot of things, but then still, if we have any questions, we can straight away put up and ask. You can either raise hands or you can put that in chat. Nobody? All right. So I believe it was a wonderful session, Bindya. Thank you so much for being there. Yeah.
Thank you
thanks.
so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So now with this wonderful, engaging session, we move on to another energetic person, and our next speaker, Himanshi Aval. She's a friend to me, and we have not been able to work together as that much. However, yes, she's a trainer, she's a coach, she's a mentor, international speaker, personality branding consultant, brand auditor, content creator, writer, and whatnot. And the list goes on. She works with corporates, universities, startups, and small business owners, and even individuals, with the aim of helping them to create a better vision of their lives they envision. As a learning partner, she specializes in communication development, attitude, and mindset transformation. She excels in helping clients understand their inner motivations, helping them to give voice to their inner child in tandem with their adult form, so that they form better relationships in their personal and professional lives and live their best version. And with this, I'd like to give the podium to Himanshi. Himanshi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Prabhat. It feels really nice that finally you have the opportunity to introduce me and I have the opportunity to be introduced by you. And thanks a lot to the two speakers before me. I actually never thought that I'll be a speaker at any level of seminar on this particular topic. Not that I have ever, so this is my first ever opportunity where I'm talking about this particular part of society in an open forum. But if you just allow me to give you the share the reason why I chose to be a speaker today, other than the fact that I wanted to increase my awareness and my knowledge of this community. When I used to study in England for my college years, this was in the mid 2000s. I had a couple of friends from Czechoslovakia who were these gay guys. And before that, when I was in school, in middle school, like between junior school and middle school, this movie Fire was released. And I used to have one best friend. So two of us were like really best, like really good, thick friends. And I was a very shy person in school, which is kind of opposite of what I'm now. But when the movie was released, I had no idea about the movie. But the people in my class, they started calling me and my friend, and they would start to identify this movie Fire, with us. For as long as the time that the movie was in news, and if any of us remember, the movie was in news for a very, very long time. A lot of cinema halls were put on fire because of the movie, and a lot of agitation was. So before that, I had no idea about this part of society. Obviously, never had the chance. So it got me intrigued, and why am I being labeled with my friend about that? So both of us went, and this was not Google time. So we went and tried to search as much as we could through newspapers, and I found it very silly that people would make fun about a concept which was very different from regular society. And it must have taken a lot of courage on the part of the actors and the entire production team to do something like that. And I really felt pity for my classmates because we were all in school. So we were all at a growing stage. But I realized that, a lot of us were being raised in a very toxic environment. Especially at that time, I didn't even know the word toxic. But I realized that there was something wrong. Going forward, when I went to study in England and I had these, gay friends, and none of them were Indian, obviously, because we didn't even then speak up. I realized that there's nothing different, and how can I judge somebody on their sexual orientation, because that was the only definition I knew at that time, just because they choose to be with somebody of the same gender. Moving forward to today, obviously, a lot of us are interested in knowing more about this part, very huge part of our society. And as we all see, thanks to social media, there's a lot of people who have the courage and the opportunity to come out in the open. When I first heard the term coming out, I found it very hard because what do you mean by coming out? In my mind, I always thought that everybody is equal and everybody has the right to be what they are and choose whoever. But obviously, around the world, we all live in certain boxes, especially in a patriarchal society like our country, where straight people are not given rights to do a lot of things of their own choice. Forget somebody who challenges the very, norm of society. So, so this is the only reason I actually chose to speak about this. And thanks for giving me this opportunity, is because I wanted to use this to just increase my own awareness and knowledge about this. And probably today, what I'm going to share in the next few minutes is only what I have found out a little more in detail. So in case I miss something, or in case I do not share something in the right way, Arpana, please do guide us. Okay. So basically, while we all deal with our lives and try to, make the best of our each day, there is this section of our society which has to deal with a lot more than what, a regular normal life that we call as. I recently found out that I am somebody who's binary. So I had learned this on Instagram. No, I had no idea that, there's something called binary and non-binary and cisgender. And these are still a lot of terms which most common people, even in metro cities, are not aware of. It's only when you will take some interest, then only you will be aware of it. And once you start to increase your awareness, then you will start to educate yourself. This is just like everything else. So what I'm saying is that if we call ourselves the mainstream people, if we can get more awareness and education about this community, we can actually start to think of making our society more inclusive. Inclusive means people coming from all types of backgrounds and all types of orientations. When there are certain marginalized sections of society, when we can include everybody, to be given the chance to include their ideas, their hopes and wishes, only then India can truly start to become a country which is full of innovative, modern and forward-thinking citizens. Which is this is the Business Innovators Summit. And I found a lot of things about this online, especially from society point of view as well as corporate point of view. So I'm going to share a certain points. The main area that I'm going to be covering is just the overall LGBTQ culture in India, their rights and struggles, which are not from today. They've been there since years and years. And some prominent names from the community and what they've been doing over the years to be able to bring about a change. So in my research, I found out that in 2018, just 3 years back, a Hong Kong-based LGBTQ foundation released a report that mentioned that if the global LGBTQ community formed a country, it would be the fourth largest country in the world. That's the number of people who are trying to get an equal footing for themselves in this world. Fourth largest country. And their GDP will be to the tune of approximately $4 trillion, which means, they are a self-sufficient community if only they will get more acceptance and people will get more awareness. September 6th, 2018 is actually the Independence Day for LGBTQ community in India. The Indian Supreme Court unanimously ruled in favor of decriminalizing homosexuality on September 6, 2018. Now, the first time this was done was in 2009, but it was overruled, and the ruling was actually changed in 2013, where homosexuality again became a crime. So between 2013 and 2018, a lot of people, names who are there across media, and a lot of names that are not known, they have waged wars peacefully, mostly peacefully, to get the rights that they deeply deserve. So therefore, in legal terms, homosexuality is no longer criminalized and it is legal. But when I researched a lot deeper, as we all know, legality is one thing, but being accepted by the classes and the masses, that's a completely different thing. If you come from big cities, metros like Delhi, Mumbai, all of those places, a lot of people still accept it, and a lot of people don't. But if you move into other parts of the country, smaller cities, towns, rural areas, we all know that it's not really accepted. Even amongst families, close family members, or even amongst friends. So I read about several people who have talked about their experiences and what their life is like, even when homosexuality was legalized. These people mostly come from small towns, and they have had to move to big cities just to be able to breathe in safety. So as a result, the law, even though the legalization made a lot of people happy in India and across the world, the story is people the live a day life. Trans people are definitely not accepted across the world also, and obviously in India as well. And they've had to go through several atrocious tortures. For instance, so something that I found out over this week was that, this is something it's been known across media, but I found out that there is some kind of therapies that people have had to go through because their parents thought, that if they go through this therapy, one of them being shock therapy, that they'll be able to come out of this illness. This thing has been shown across movies as well over the years, but it is a very shocking thing that in a lot of cases, trans people who suffer from even medical ailments, say for example from HIV, they have been refused to be given medical treatment by doctors in smaller towns or smaller cities because doctors fear that if they come in close contact with them, they will catch the disease of homosexuality, which is actually very weird in 2021 to still think that people still believe that. But it is a taboo topic, being LGBT in India still. So I'm going to just share a few stories that I came across. So there is this was built in the media over the years. Two ladies by the name of Kavita Arora and Ankita Khanna, they had to go to court to be able to get legally married. They met at work, fell in love, just like regular people do. Over 8 years, they were together and then they decided to get married. But as a same-sex couple, their relationship was a crime until 2018. Despite the landmark judgment, their relationship still had no legal status, making it very difficult for them to live a day-to-day life. For example, transfer property rights, buy property together, make medical decisions for each other in case one of them had some major issues, or basically, in short, open a bank account together. In short, enjoy any rights that heterosexual married couples in India, we just take for granted. In their own words, they said that they've created a life together, but where is the legitimacy of that? Even when the ruling was made in 2018, they still had to fight a lot of cases, especially with a lot of political parties being very vocal about that same-sex relationships are not real relationships and they will not, get any kind of rights. So there's a lot of members of India's LGBTQ community that, despite a lot of tortures, both mental, physical, or emotional, or financial, that they go through, they are still quite optimistic. This case actually became very famous across media, and according to them, they say that the case has actually brought their topic into the open in a country where LGBTQ issues are still largely considered taboo, where where our government or our law system is still doing its part. There's as the speakers before me, both of you have spoken, the grassroots level, the actual people, irrespective of what part of the country we come from or whatever our age group is, we need to be made aware and educated. And before people will take any kind of interest, if we can, start to make people aware and educate, maybe that will create some level of interest in some people and they can probably influence other people. So what this community requires is, there's a lot of influencers that have come up in the community, but probably this can grow further if we can create influencers from outside the community who can be allies to the people who are working for the betterment of the LGBTQ community. So what we need to do is normalize, instead of marginalize these, people. So there is another thing that I found out, which was quite weird, is that when both these ladies, they are in their late 30s and late 40s, full grown adults, when they were trying to look for a home and they had to go for home loan, whatever banks they went to, a lot of those bank managers refused to recognize their relationship. They were labeled as sisters, as mother, daughter, even landlord and tenant, but nobody recognized them as a same gender couple, just like any other live-in couple or just like any other married couple. Also, another thing, violence. A lot of news comes up against people who have, especially in the transgender area, where people have had to go through different violent treatments, discrimination, and threats come especially from the family, because if the family does not support, there is not a lot of support that might come to you from outside. In 2019, there was a survey done, and the percentage is quite appalling. It said that 62% of the respondents of that survey said that they did not approve of same-sex marriages. This was in 2019, way after, this was legalized in 2018 by the government, by the law, right? Which means societal acceptance will delay whatever comes through from the court, even because society, the people actually don't recognize. There was another case that I came across. Manoj, name is changed, obviously, comes from Karnataka. He was forced to undergo gay conversion therapy as a teenager, and they've added the word therapy as if it's actually going to help him. He now lives in Delhi. He hasn't spoken to his family in years because they put him into this therapy, and he, whatever financial level, tries to educate as many people as possible, and especially young boys and girls who are coming out, he tries to help them financially as well. Another case I came across was Ankita Mehra. I'm assuming the name is again changed. When she realized that she was attracted to other women, she felt trapped because as a teenager herself, she knew that she will never be accepted by her family. So she was made to go to a counselor. The first counselor she visited told her that for 15,000 Indian rupees, he will fix her, whatever the word fix he meant. But she had the sense to go to a second counselor, and this second counselor actually suggested to her that she should just for once and for all, just come out. She had to write, she didn't have the courage to speak to her parents, so she wrote a 6-page letter to her father, which included her pleas, her pleadings that he do not throw her out of the house just because she had chosen to trust him and come out in the open. Luckily for her, her father actually cried as he read the letter, hugged her, and he accepted. So they're not all bad cases in our country. There are a lot of acceptances happening, which led me to lot of from the past. If we, as Artna also said, there's a lot of background and history to the community from our in our country. I'm sharing one link in the chat window if that helps. I found it very fascinating because if we read our old scriptures and a lot of our even Manusmriti, which is one of the oldest scriptures in our country, it does talk that India has always been an inclusive country, and we've always had people from the other gender as well. And if I'm just going to share some facts from this, which I found fascinating. There are 93 of them. Can't share all. So would love if you guys would like to read it. But some of the prominent ones that I found that, which say to us that it's now that we are fighting the fight again, to be able to give some, acceptance and visibility to this community. But this has always been a part of our Sanskriti and a part of from our society. It says point number one: homosexuality is as old as the Vedas. So it's been there since 3102, 3000 plus BC. Homosexuality or non-normative sexual identity was recognized as the Tritiya Prakriti. So as a country, we have always recognized this. It's not something new, or it's not something that young people are being influenced by the West. It's always been there. It's just that we have to re-evaluate and give some value to the community. It says that trans community is as old as Madurai's temples, the same temple that we are very proud of our as part of our Sanskriti and our culture. Another point I found very fascinating is queerness is as plain as temple walls. So if we look at some of the sculptures, it does show people of the same gender loving each other. Then came the problem, which was with the onset of the British people coming into India, 1862, when Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code came into force. I guess that was the time when India started going backwards. The next point you guys can read yourself. In 1977, Shakuntala Devi, who we all know was one of the geniuses India has ever created, has ever had, she wrote a book, The World of Homosexuals, which obviously this book created a lot of noise at that time. But she wrote that book in 1977, and that book contained interviews with a lot of homosexual men. Again, probably the word men caught my attention. Probably there might be a few women. I've not read the book, but men still had the capacity to come out. It's only now that the women are coming out as well. In 1981, the trans community actually got its first organization. In 87, there were two ladies, two policemen who were fired from their job. They chose to get married, and straight away when the news of their marriage came in, they were ousted from their jobs. So there's a lot of points on this section, on this that I found very fascinating, that, if we read, what we understand is that the fight, number of people who are joining in this is increasing. The fight has been going on for a very long time. It's just that if, we can support these people, we could actually have a lot more inclusive society. And that one point which says that if one country can be formed of all of these people. It will be the fourth largest country in the world. My belief is that, we are losing out on a lot of human capital, emotional intelligence and IQ and all of that by marginalizing this very important part of society. On other website, I found some 8 very prominent people. A lot of those names would be known to quite a few of us who've been working non-stop over the years for the community. Names like Vikram Seth, who's best known for his novel A Suitable Boy. He comes from a very progressive family. His parents supported him to be able to make noise for the community. Then we've got Gauri Samant. She is very well known for the work that she does amongst transgender women. She's been in the news as well lately for a lot. She has adopted some young girl whose mother passed away, and I think I saw her interview again on YouTube and Instagram. She's a very good speaker and very powerful. Then we've got somebody from the Royal Society of India, Manvendra Singh Gohil, which is, I would say, a lot of guts on his part. He has been actively involved in raising awareness towards homosexuality and the implications of AIDS since he came out in the public more than 10 years ago. He himself comes from a very conservative family and and a royal family. So he himself was disowned, but that hasn't stopped him from, speaking up about the community. Sonal Gyani, somebody I had no idea about, so I read about her. She has been doing a lot of work highlighting lesbian and bisexual women's issues as well as LGBTQ youth work. She herself is a very young girl. She gets a lot of support every time she speaks up in public. One very prominent name, I came across her, I think last year on some thing on YouTube or Facebook, Lakshmi Narayan Tripathi. Very prominent name. When she speaks, you actually like sit down and listen to her. She's a Bharatanatyam dancer in Mumbai. Very proud member of the Hijra community. She comes from Uttar Pradesh, but she has single-handedly taken care of her entire family, and she is now a public person. She speaks about the community. So there's a lot of such people that that I saw. What I want to conclude my point was, I also came across that there was recently a job fair done in India where they were trying to invite people from the LGBTQ community to come and apply for jobs. I can share that link as well. A lot of people from the community actually went, and they were quite excited that a job fair was being done just for them. The good point is that there were a few companies in India who went exclusively for just this fair. That's a good point. The sad point was that the number of these companies was only 5. So the number of applicants was way, way higher than the number of companies who had these jobs. But not everything is grim, as I said earlier. People coming from, like I do not have words to say that if I call myself, why do I call myself somebody from the regular society and then we say the LGBTQ community? The very words to talk about this is missing. So while, as trainers and as coaches and public speakers and entrepreneurs, if we are doing certain things for our own rights, if we could also start including people whose lives maybe not, directly affect our lives, but if we could start including them also in our conversations, you never know, somebody who could become closer to you more than your blood relations or more than your family or whatever you call it, your best friend. If you can just start including more people instead of marginalizing, that could create a better life for ourselves, B, better lives for themselves, and probably overall India can truly be how it actually started. The first thing when my grandfather used to tell me that India sone ki chidiya hoti thi. So I always heard the thi part, still haven't heard the hai. And the way we are going, till we don't make some major changes, that hai is never going to happen. So I feel very privileged actually, and I feel that for all of us that we actually have this opportunity to spend these 2-3 hours just talking about it. But if we could probably have more such sessions where we could discuss, and maybe, we could include more people to just plant seeds, because as trainers, all we can do is plant seeds and help others maybe germinate it. But if we can, speak about these topics more and more with other people, it's not going to help just our growth or their growth. It might just create a lot better, more wholesome, less toxic society in general. With that, I don't want to continue talking. I would actually welcome if you guys would like to share anything that you want to say about your experience or your knowledge. Or if you have a question, if I can answer, I'll try my best. Thank you. Yes, Rutika.
Yes, so before I speak, I would say that I open the forum for everyone for another 1 minute, so that if you have anything to share or questions, you can. But adding to Himanshi's point, as you mentioned about Lakshmi Narayan, and I have personally seen her and heard her. And I would like to add here that, when she speaks and when she's on the platform, she creates fire. She has an electrifying personality. And she is equally like a Bollywood star that we call heroes or heroines, right?
Better than them.
Yes, actually better than them. So I feel that it's just the platform that we people should be giving to everyone. I don't want to say again the LGBT etc. I just want to say that, like Arpana says, live and let live. So I won't say that, let's give the platform to Arpana. It's like, okay, Arpana, come in.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
For Arpana to tell that I am this. That's it. So a liner, I am this, and then she goes up with her session or with her introduction and with her life. So this is what I feel, because what happened is when we start to identify and when we start saying that we should be giving the platform, again, they are considered to be as minor. But then that is also required up to a certain point, because that benchmarks or that break even needs to be also fulfilled. So maybe that is also required at certain point. So yes, so this is I wanted to add that, of course, yes, they are not different at all. They are amongst us.
And they look like us only, right? We all look similar. I mean, everybody's got the same features. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Himanshi. So seeing that I am not able to see any hand raise here, so I think we can jump up for the next session. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Himanshi. It was really nice listening to you for a reason, because as you said, you also wanted to be aware about the topic, and then you came up with a topic with all the complete curiosity, insight with us. So that was a major.
Yeah, I've been curious since that Fire movie came out, and I got labeled. I mean, I had no idea. Yeah.
Yes. So therefore the session went really something like people like me also got curious when you said that, you curious. So it went really well. So thank you so much, Himanshi. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So moving further with our another dynamic guest is Miss Vishakha. Ms. Vishakha is a PhD scholar in discipline of community science with specialization in human development and family studies. She's also an associate editor of International Journal of Science, Technology, Engineering, and Computation Mathematics. She's a keen researcher, published author, IGBTQA plus ally, and founder of Idokua, an initiative that offers developmental programs for children catering to their holistic development. Her areas of interest are working with children for their optimal and integrated development, working with and for people belonging to third gender. Personality coach, international speaker, author, and educator, founder director, The Talk Room, champion of International Public Speaking 2019. Wow, what a grand introduction. Welcome, Vishakha, and so glad to have you here. Over to you.
Thank you, Rutika. Thank you very much. And I'm very glad to be on this platform. This opportunity in itself is a huge thing, obviously. And the very first thing that I'd like to start with is how basically I got interest with with respect to the community, how I wanted to be somehow related to the community or do some work related to the community or for the community. So because I am answering this question because a lot of times I've had people come up to me and ask that, what made you do work like that for the community, or what made you simply have interest in the community. So while I was pursuing my master's, there were many courses. Since I belong to the discipline of human development, I had studied everything about child development, then various things and various courses on women. But then suddenly one fine day, I was just sitting and I came across a video of Lakshmi Tripathi. And I was like, okay, fine. See, I am studying about human development, right? And this community in itself is a huge part. Aren't they human? Obviously, they're very much part of our community, very much part of our community, right? But since uh, every course or every basically thing that I've come across, there are so many types of universities who are wholeheartedly dedicated towards empowering women or who are just working for women. But I did not come across any like such a big thing or any merely just a course, letting undergraduates or just letting the students basically even introducing the concept, this concept, or introducing about this community, right? Introduction about this community. I did not come across any such thing. So it got me into thinking that what is going on. I mean, a few years later, when I'd be done with my PhD, I'd be known as a specialized individual with respect to human development, right? And I would not know about such an important part of human society. So that is basically, I started thinking about things, and I started basically looking into the community. And then that is when I knew that, somebody has to do something about it. I basically searched on the internet, I searched my department, I went to 2 3 other universities nearby my area and just tried to search something related to this. I just wanted to have a point. I did not know where to start. The very first thing is, I did not know where to start because I did not have any direct or indirect exposure to the community. I did not have it. So I started searching on internet. Internet was the sole medium in my initial few days, right? I just started searching on the internet. Then I came across a few things, a few personalities like Gauri Sawant, the very first transgender mother, and she is proud. She is proud like anything. I mean, she in herself is a very great personality. Then I came across the very first art principal. She's Upadhyay, right? Then I came across first police officer, and then months later, I just came across many personalities who were the very first transgender people coming into that field. It was very inspiring. Then when I came into my PhD, I was like, I have to do something. I have to do anything related to these people, and that is how I would justify the discipline. That is how I would be able to respect myself as a person belonging to the discipline. Then that is how I got started. And today here I'll be talking about a few things. Then I'll basically start right from the childhood. So, like I mentioned, that right when a child is born, right, parents or the family members are very much curious to know about the gender of the child. Now, gender and sex are two different things. Gender is what you are biologically born with. Sex with what you are biologically born with, right? Basically, your body type, basically the reproductive system that you are born with, that is your sex. And gender is a social construct that has already been spoken of, so I won't explain it that much. But right at that time, parents and families are very curious to know about बच्चा क्या है, लड़का है, लड़की है, and the doctors they are also like लड़का है, लड़की है. They themselves pronounce कि लड़का है, लड़की है. ठीक है. Then as the child grow up, basically, you'll be surprised to know this, that a child who is just merely 2 years old, he or she is able to feel that these the toys or the dressing sense that I am oriented with, that I'm put up with is not in accordance to what I feel. Can you imagine a child who is 2 years old can start to feel these things? Then, as a child becomes 3 years old, he or she can actually feel the disorientation, the problem that is going on. Can you imagine a child who is just 2 or 3 years old and has to go through this, right? Then coming back to our Indian society, the child is put into school, the child has different, basically, toys which are given by the family or the parents in accordance with the gender of the child, right? Presumed gender of the child, the gender that is presumed by his or her parents. So basically, the amount of pressure that is put up on the child to conform to that particular gender in itself is a big problem for the child. Like Aparna mentioned that, like Aparna mentioned that gender dysphoria is a real problem. See, just imagine if you yourself grew up in the society and what you are today, if you were not that, and if you were just forced to be like this, or if you were just forced to conform to this particular construct that was given to you by the society, how would you feel? And moreover, when you do not have any role model to look to, or you do not have any person whom you can go and talk to, you yourself are not able to figure out what is going on. It's a conflict. This situation in itself is a problem. It's a big problem, and that what leads to gender dysphoria. I also researched on this, and that is how I got to know that the effect of labeling a child with a particular gender in itself is can be traumatic, literally very traumatic, especially about if we talk about the early childhood years. Merely the labeling of the child as a boy or as a girl can lead to many psychological problems in the later years of the life of that particular child, like PTSD and many other things along with anxiety and depression. It leads to number of things, various number of things. So basically, why I am here today, I have an agenda basically in my mind that was to, the very first thing that I stand for is to sensitize the society. It is to sensitize the families. See, we are all sitting here talking about LGBTQI community. After the summit is over, we'll go back to our normal lives. And but it won't matter if we do not start talking about the community right with our family members, right from our friends, right? Here we are together. Basically, we are together because we have somewhere similar area of interest. That is why we are here together, listening or speaking in the summit. But it wouldn't matter as much if you don't go back to your regular life, and if you do not act on it, or if you do not start right from your families, right from your friends, or right from your society. I'd like to mention here a very good example. Basically, right, the neighbors of my house, right, they have a child who is 12 months old, I think 12 to 13 months old. She had her birthday just a month back, that's how I remember. And the grandmother of her, basically Dadi, she usually takes her downstairs to play in the park with along with the other children, etc., etc. One day she got very upset, and the reason why she was upset was because that girl, right, that particular child is not interested in playing with her toys which are meant for her because she's a girl. Rather, she is interested in playing with the ball of some other child. And she was so upset कि लड़कियों की चीजें नहीं करती, इसको लड़कियों वाली चीजें पसंद है. And she literally brought the child up to her home, punishing that child, that 1-year-old child, that why is she interested in playing with the ball. Now, just that's horrible. It shouldn't be the case. So this is what happens in the society, right? So the very first thing is to sensitize common people, to sensitize our families, to sensitize the people that we meet in daily life, to sensitize our co-workers, to sensitize our friends, basically everybody that is around you. That is how you would be able to justify being present and spending 2-3 hours in this summit for the particular community, right? So the very first thing that I stand for is basically sensitizing the community. Then, as all of the speakers have already mentioned, that it is very important to bring acceptance into society, and I couldn't agree more. It is very important. But I think one step before that is acknowledgement. if we do not acknowledge the people. For example, just a mere example, if you are let's say you are walking in a park or walking somewhere, and you see some person that you merely just know that okay, she lives there or she lives there, you are ready to greet him or her, you are ready to greet namaste uncle, namaste auntie, or whatever that is you greet them with, right? But when you are walking in a society and some transgender person is coming by, even though you know them indirectly or even though you don't even know them, people are not even ready to look at them. People are not even ready to, let their children look at them. If a child is looking at them, the parents are like, don't look there. Why not? Why the hell not? Right? So this is what I mean by acknowledging. You need to acknowledge that these people are very much a part of our society, very much a part of our society. These people are also citizens of India. These people, LGBTQI community people, are also paying their taxes. No, they're paying it. They are equally members of the society. They equally deserve the rights. They equally deserve protection for the government. They equally deserve various things that the state should be doing for them. So this is what I mean by acknowledging that these people are there, and these people already need a lot to be done for them. Again, coming to the point that Arpana said, that equity needs to be there, right? A lot of things that are to be done for these people, that should be done for these people, to bring them up to the level, up to basically the level of what I cannot, obviously we cannot expect that they would come right up to us and just talk about anything else, or just come to any person or any stranger and just talk it and let it be a regular day. No, it cannot happen at the time. At the moment, we cannot expect this. We need to create a society. We need to include them in the society in such a manner that they feel that comfortable, that they feel that, yeah, it is, society is very much open, it is very much welcoming these people. How often do you look, for example, people, cisgendered people basically, like any of us present here, if we go to any mall, or let's say any cafe or anywhere, how often do you find any transgender person, or like specifically, okay, if we talk about hijra community, how often have you seen such people sitting there? How often has it happened? Rarely. I know it's a very rare occurrence. So we need to acknowledge these people. Very first thing is we need to acknowledge. Then comes awareness. Yes, if you acknowledge them first, that is, yes, Mr. Kapoor, you're right. If we first acknowledge these people, then comes in awareness. First, you need to acknowledge that yes, such community is there. These people are there, very much just like us, very much part of the society. That is when you would yourself be aware, and that is when you would make the other people aware, or the others around you aware of it, right? And that's when basically you educate yourself and the others, and that is when acceptance comes in the picture. So this thing. Then moving on to basically this is said that LGBTQI community, transgender people, and others belonging to the community, many people are like, ये तो हमारी society में था ही नहीं, ये तो अब concepts हैं जो आने लग गए हैं, बाहर से आने लग गए हैं, western society से आने लगे. These are concepts that have traveled from west to our country. That is not the case. Basically, they were always present in our community. They were very much respected. They had esteemed positions in the society. They were basically people. They were influencers. They were policy makers, and they had very good what we can say reputation in the society, very good place in the society. Basically, when the Britishers came in India, right, when the colonization happened, that is when we can say that these people suffered the most, because homosexuality and basically activities of these people were criminalized, they were pathologized, and that's when their rights, their properties, etc., were somehow basically taken away from them, and that is when these people suffered the most. Since then, now looking at 2021, we know that these people do not they do not stand where they should have been, right? The very first, we can say the very first formal census was that happened in 2014. And the term trans, can we, okay, just coming back to it, just let's come back a little bit. Any of you can recognize, or can any one of you tell me who basically gave the term male or female? Anybody here?
Can you just repeat your question, Shaka?
Yes, I said that can any one of you tell me who gave the term male or female? Was there
No.
any person? Okay. But the term transgender was coined in 1965, and it was given by a psychiatrist named John F. Oliver in 1965. 1965 was the very first time that these people were given just one term, transgender. So late. We were so late in even recognizing these people after the Britishers came and did what they did. So that is another thing. Then what I'd like to mention next is that okay, we are talking about transgender community, and we're talking about LGBTQI community from 2-3 hours, right? But what is the need for it? Now, I cannot mention enough reasons. Already many have been mentioned, but I cannot mention enough reasons, or I cannot stress enough why we need to make efforts, or why a lot needs to be done. Very first thing is when such a child is born into the family, because he or she is pressurized so bad that the child cannot come out to the parents. The child cannot be like, no, I don't want to do this, because then the parents are like punishing the child for not doing that. It shouldn't be the case. Parents or the families need to be accepting. The very first thing, if we are talking about going to the grassroots level of this problem, if we talk about addressing the problem from right from the beginning, then we need to educate parents. Like nowadays there is counseling that is done right for the babies born. That counseling needs to have such issues. It needs to address issues. Genetic counseling is there, wherein parents are prepared just in case their child is born with some kind of disability or with some kind of disorder, right? Similarly, that particular counseling should involve that the gender of your child is not just binary. It is a lot more than that, and you should be open towards it. There is nothing wrong with being a lesbian. There is absolutely nothing wrong in being a gay. Similarly, all the other orientations that we can come across, there is absolutely nothing in it. So I think if the parent himself or herself is educated, then when the child is brought into the world, the parents are ready for it, right? They're educated about it. They know it is not a problem. They know that this is just an orientation of the child, and it would not so ever harm any way the other dimensions or the other aspects of the growth or development of the child or his or her future life, right? We need to educate, yeah, we need to educate parents and the families. Now, just imagine, because a lot of cases that we see, that we come across in our Indian society, a majority of them in fact are like, they have left their parents, they have left their home, or they're living apart, they're living away. Why do they need to do that? They do not need to do that. I am living at the house of my parents, or majority of us are living at the house of our parents, right? It shouldn't be the case. Why are those people just thrown out of the house? They're downtrodden, child napping. I cannot name issues. There are so many that these children go through. So the very first thing is, the parents and the families need to be educated. They need to be ready for it. And all right, then the other thing that I'd like to mention is that we need to basically bring these people into mainstream, right? This thing is what I call as normalization. So I just wind it up in a minute. Just give me a minute, then I'll be done. Normalization, by normalization, I mean including these people in the society, basically giving them enough opportunities, giving them enough. For example, this very platform, I'm literally very thankful to ABCD International that they have organized this platform, saying that I got to speak about this particular issue and so many speakers as well, right? So this is what I mean by normalization, that we need to normalize these people, we need to normalize their activities in front of us, we need to normalize talking to such people, we need to normalize just treating them just like you would treat any other cisgendered or straight people. And good news, although, is that now these people, the children who are growing up and who belong to the community have role models to look forward to. People like Gauri Sawant, people like Lakshmi Tripathi, and a lot of others. So that is a very good news. And with that, I'd like to wrap up my session. Thank you very much. I'd like to very much thank this platform for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vishaka. It was wonderful listening to your enthusiasm. I could feel that same spirit. And so here I would like to open the forum again for everybody. If you have any questions which you want to throw at Vishaka, please please feel free. You can raise your hands or you can use the chat option.
Yeah, hi Vishaka. Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful speaking on the LGBTQ community. What I understand from your description about the community and their struggle is that somewhere there is a question of identity which is at stake, and another is the acceptability by the society is a root cause of the problem. So we definitely we are very much thankful to all the organizers, ABCD International, and other organizations also who are focusing on the LGBTQ community for including them into the mainstream of the society. But my concern is we are spreading this information among a certain section of the society, and apart from that, a huge part of the society is yet to know about the LGBTQ community. So how can we reach them out to make everyone aware that like the main campaign of Narendra Modi, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, or vaccine, or Chota Parivar, Sukhi Parivar. This kind of message at the mass level should be there, so that 135 crore people in India must know about the LGBTQ community. And another important issue is that what I had felt personally is that they can't even speak about their own gender dysphoria in front of their most close parents, father and mother.
That's
The
right.
question is because of their acceptability, they fear because of the aftermath of the effect. So what is your point in this?
Yes. Thank you very much, sir, for asking me this question. The very first part of your question, I'd like to answer it first. Basically, see, if we just look about our own life, if we just look at ourselves, right? For example, I am associated to, let's say, 5 of my family members, and in a day, on an average, meet 5 to 6 people more, right? If I just merely start on my own end, if I start sensitizing my family, if I start by telling that my neighbor that I just mentioned, if I start telling her that there is nothing wrong in it, there is nothing wrong if she wants to play with whatever toys she like, if she even in future associates with herself as being a he, there is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong in it. Because I believe if we just start at our own end, right, we are approximately 20 some people present here. If we just go back home and if we are able to sensitize just 2 more people, it would become 60, right? Then those 60, 2 more again, it would become a lot more, right? Similarly, so the only thing that we need to start doing is ourselves. I know for definitely I know that each day looks like a different one, right? We get exposure into different settings of the society. For example, one day I'm here, another day I'm working in some rural setting. I can do it there. Similarly, you can do it in other settings. So this is how I think it could be done in the best possible manner. Secondly, your question, what was your second question, sir? Can you please repeat?
Yeah, the identity crisis, they are not
Right,
confessing in front
yes.
of their parents.
Yes. So I think, see, like I mentioned, sir, that the parents, right from the beginning, they should be prepared. The family, right, should from the beginning, they should be prepared. They should know that belonging to the other orientation, belonging to the community is absolutely fine. It is very much welcomed. That I believe is very much applicable for future parents, like when I'd be a parent on when people like us would be parent. But for the parents who are basically like people who are 50 years old or 60 years old, and now their children, if they want to come out to their parents, so at assuming that they do not have anyone on their end, or they do not have any person to go and talk to, what they can do is, slowly just start introducing the concept, just start introducing the term transgender, just start introducing the term LGBTQI, just start introducing that it's an umbrella term, and that these many orientations are also there, right? Then start by telling them various things that are going on. Start by telling that various nations are working for them. Start by telling them various stories, right? Because being your parent, they would sympathize with your story, right? If you just let them know कि ये चीज सही नहीं है, this is not the right thing. If you let them know like that, I think just bombarding them one day wouldn't work. Why? Because they themselves are not familiar with the concept. They themselves do not probably know how to handle this, right? So what you can do is day by day, just step by step, you can just work towards getting the concept towards into their memory bank basically, and then slowly letting them know. Rest is basically up to, obviously, they are your parents. Majority of the chances are that they would understand and they would love you. But I would say that keep trying, and one day it would happen. Obviously, they would understand. Society is changing. That is how it's changing, right? So never lose the hope and just try for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you,
It
sir.
was wonderful.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
sir.
Thank you, Mr. Basu. And any more questions that we have? Anybody from the quorum? Anybody? All right. So I take that as a no. Going ahead, going forward, we all the speakers have spoken now, and I'd like to take this opportunity to summarize whatever we have spoken about today. I believe we had, I had made a lot
If
of
you will
notes.
permit me for 1 second,
Sure,
if
sir,
I can
please.
add on one thing
Sure, Mr.
to
Basu.
conclude with
Sure,
Vishaka.
yeah.
Vishaka,
Yes.
don't you think that somewhere there is there's a back of the mind, and during the birth of the child, there is a when there is a girl child, one day she will be married, we will have a bride, or we will have a groom, or we will decorate our house, and one sudden morning the girl is telling her parents that, oh ma, I am a lesbian, or I am a gay, or I am it is a kind of Indian mindset, I think. What is your, is there somewhere related to that old age marriage policy and all this mindset that also become a yeah,
Yes,
obstacle?
definitely. I'd like to answer that. The reason that we could basically we could say that this majority of the belief that is there is due to the patriarchal pattern of our society, right? Because even if a male, we can say child is might be he might be like 32 years old, might be 35 years old, the amount of pressure that is put upon him to get married is definitely not as much that is on a woman that is 32 or 35 years old. So I think that the patriarchal pattern of the society is the one that we can blame in such a situation.
Yes. In fact, adding here to Vishaka's point, I'd like to mention this as well, that not only female or women in our society or girls in our society, there are pressures on everyone. Equal pressure, I believe, is on the male part. The male, and in the house, wherein they are supposed to earn. Right, they cannot sit at home. Right, you're supposed to have a job. You're supposed to earn and feed your family, feed your wife, children, everybody. Right, you are supposed to not cry, be strong, be powerful. Right, so we
Yes,
all
I
have
agree.
these kind of pressures on all of us, equally, I believe. All right, so any more questions that we have? Anybody? Okay, so I'll go ahead, and I'll try to summarize and conclude. Yes, we started with Arpana, where gender dysphoria was disclosed. I mean, and this is the first time that I heard this term, right? And I also got to understand the very difference between gender and sex. Right, that gender is a society thing, right? The partiality that happens between girls and boys every time. We spoke about a lot of examples were given to us, and the very fact we have, I think, came about through all the speakers, that this concept of transgender homosexuality is not new. It's not Western. It is all since when, times of Mahabharata, Khajuraho, the reference of Kama Sutra also can be taken, right? So this whole point is clear now, that it is not something which is a disease, or which is something new that has came from Western culture. Right. Also, I would say that the disease here is gender dysphoria confusion. Right, the problem is not with the people who do not understand, but the problem is actually with all of our society, which decides and divides the different roles based on gender and sex. Right, Arpana actually mentioned a lot of things about how they started. Initially they faced a lot of difficulty, right? And then they started the dialogue, right, about LGBTQ community. And this whole platform was given. How Arpana was not able to get that help, which now has been given to other people who belong to this community. Right, and now lot of people who belong to homosexuality and other of these communities are able to come out of their cocoons and nutshells, because of those initiatives taken by people like Arpana and Zobdo, all these things. So I've wonderfully, I would like to congratulate Arpana for this effort and this initiative. Our next speaker was Bindya, and wonderfully she explained and how, I mean, I was completely unaware of this example of Axis Bank she gave up, wherein they have completely revamped their employee policy for both internal and external customers. I love the Dil Se Open tagline. Right, and she again gave a lot of examples about other corporates like Apple, Accenture, Adobe, etc. Right, where we'd all talk about inclusion. So and I think in the end she said something about the idea of bringing about change in the schooling and education system, right, where we can bring about that change from the beginning itself. Right, and wonderful ideas were shared. There was wonderful session that was done. And post that, we had Himanshi Aval with us, sharing her personal experience, how she encountered, this community, transgender community, and she was also part of that whole thing. She also gave a wonderful fact about how if all LGBTQ community people come together, they can actually form the fourth largest and economically very strong country. right? And she also told us about how homosexuality is in a lot of countries it's legal nowadays. However, the point is it is not acceptable, right? She also referred to Manusmriti and how trans community and homosexuality has been part of our culture since beginning. It has been part of our Sanskriti as well. The way some people nowadays say that it is not our Sanskriti. No, homosexuality has been a part of success, our culture and Sanskriti since a long time now, right? And loads of examples were given in this whole session. Then we had Vishaka Tyagi with us. I love the enthusiasm she had, again, and how curious and amazed she was when she heard about Lakshmi Narayan and Gauri Sawant of the worlds, right? And I firmly believe, personally, also, I feel this. People like Lakshmi Narayan, Gauri Sawant, they are actually those, uh, they are forming these platforms for people who are LGBTQ community people. However, they do not are they do not have that power in themselves to come out. Vishaka also told us how the sexual orientation is conformed by our society, starting from the beginning of our birth. The toys, colors, clothes are designed, how they are differentiated, they're designed based on your gender, right? And I firmly believe we do not understand this concept of gender and sex. So we need to sensitize, as she said, the common people around us, our friends, families, just in order to justify, our presence in this current session today. So if we all can do one thing, that acknowledge this community and let other people know, sensitize them to understand, acknowledge this community, these few basic words like LGBTQ, and homosexuality, and introduce these terms with other people, right? She strongly suggested something I called that she called normalization. I firmly believe that normalization is a very strong word. Uh, if we are able to normalize all this, if we are able to actually include all of them, all these societies, in a society, in all these communities, by slowly introducing these terms, into our education and our families, it will be wonderful, right? All in all, to summarize all of it, I'd like to say that this change has started already. We all should work towards making it a big fire, by making it acknowledge, by understanding inclusivity, inclusive thing, and also being more accepting towards all these people, right? Irrespective of their sexual orientation. The moment we start bringing about some change or other, I am sure it will be the ripple effect, and we will see some brighter future tomorrow, right? And I believe I have covered everything in the summary. And if again, okay, now I'd like to move towards thanking all the participants and all the speakers. It's been a pleasure being with all of you, uh, sharing all lots of facts, figures, and experiences with all of us. I'd like to thank our esteemed guests, first of all, Arpana, Bindiya, Himanshi, Vishaka, for sparing out their time, bringing about their experiences they have all shared with us. Thanking all of you. I am sure we all have got a lot of insights regarding LGBTQ community. Post that, I'd like to thank Rutika, my partner in crime, for making it a wonderful and successful experience for all of us. Also, I'd like to send my gratitude towards Akash and ABCDI for organizing this summit, and taking up this sensitive topic, right? And I firmly believe we have all got enriched ourselves, and we have some sort of change has brought in us, right? Maybe a little, but yes, we have changed. I feel we're talking about we're taking small steps, but these steps are very, very strong. At the last, as Himanshi said, we can only plant seeds, we can do our bit, and that is how society changes for a better one. Over to you, Ritika.
Yes, thank you so much, Prabhat, for such a wonderful summary and ultimately vote of thanks. This sort of detailed summary actually help people who have joined late, and they can actually get everything, every insight in the last of in the end of the session. So wonderful. And before winding up, but because we are up with 18, we are up 18 minutes with the time. So I would be able to simply give you a minute. If anyone wants to give a feedback about the complete program, I want to say something about the complete summit. Please, the forum is all yours. So please, please, please. The forum is open for anyone who wants to speak or give the feedback about the complete summit. After which we'll go to Akash to hear a few words from him, and then we'll close. So anyone here? Yes. So I think people are wonderfully happy listening to the complete forum, and I believe like the complete topic is going in my mind, and so people are there. They don't, maybe they're into that topic and they want to sip in with that. So concluding this complete event, I would like to say one thing about this complete topic, that today it was an eye opener for me. Though it was all known, it was all experienced. I have seen everything around me, but then knowing something professionally and formally knowing something in a formal platform gives you a much better insight and gives you hat of responsibility maybe. So हम लोग देखते सुनते आए हैं ये बात और हमने responsibility शायद ना ली हो, but then ABCD जिसने ये platform provide किया इस topic के लिए, what I believe is has helped us to look on this topic really very seriously, and I think there will be a lot of change that we will bring in individually at our individual levels. Over to you, Akash.
Yes, thank you, Ritika ma'am. Thank you, Prabhat sir, for this wonderful moderation. You both are awesome. So thank you, and thank you all speakers, Arpana ji, Vishaka ji, Bindya ma'am, Shimanshi ma'am. You all are great inspiration for me, because जब भी मैं सबको सुनता हूँ या जितने भी सेशंस हुए हैं, 10 दिन हुए हैं, तो अलग अलग टीम्स थे, अलग अलग स्पीकर्स थे, 50 स्पीकर्स अलग अलग कंट्री से कुछ लोग थे. वो जब उनके एक्सपीरियंसेस शेयर करते हैं, तब ऐसा लगता है कि हाँ, जो हम कुछ कर रहे हैं या ये प्लेटफॉर्म से, इसका क्रेडिट तो मुझे नहीं जाता, मैं अकेला तो नहीं करता हूँ या मैं इतना कर भी नहीं पाऊंगा, पर ये जो सपोर्ट है, जो मेंटर्स का सपोर्ट है, आप स्पीकर्स का सपोर्ट है या जो मॉडरेटर्स का सपोर्ट है, इसकी वजह से ये सब कुछ होता है. और जब ये सुनता हूँ, उनके स्पीचेस सुनता हूँ या ये जो सब कुछ प्लानिंग होता है, तब कहीं ना कहीं एक मन में ख्याल आता है कि भाई ये जो सब कुछ कर रहे हैं या इतने सब कुछ लोग इतना डेडिकेटेड है, तो उनकी जो स्टोरीज है वो काफी इंस्पायर करती है और कुछ अलग करने की एक इच्छा आती है. फिर हम कुछ ना कुछ अलग प्लानिंग्स करते हैं, और आप सभी को पता है कि ABCD बहुत सारे अलग अलग इनिशिएटिव्स लेती है, और काफी कंफ्यूजन भी होता है कभी कभी कि हाँ, हम इतना सब कुछ कर रहे हैं पर वो सही तरीके से हो रहा है या नहीं. तो आई रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन, आज लास्ट डे है और आप सभी को मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि अपने वीडियोज आप ऑन कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि हम एक स्पेशल पिक्चर लेंगे जिसमें एक मेमोरी रहेगी. और so I again says our great speakers, thank you for your sharing your valuable knowledge and experience, and thank you Rutika ma'am and Prabhat sir for this wonderful moderation, and thank you all participants for joining 10 days. लोग 2 मिनट बैठना थोड़ा मुश्किल होता है, आप 10 दिन 3 घंटे रोज बैठते हैं, तो it's a hats off you. So thank you once again, and over to you ma'am.
Yes, so as Akash invited all of us to switch on our video. So if you can quickly switch on your video so that we can quickly take a photograph and take the holistic bye-bye for all of us. So, all right, so Yes, so I can see Mr. Imran, Mr. Karim has switched on the video. Rest of us, maybe Akash, we can proceed with the photograph. So we can do that, and then we can quickly wind up. So we can have a thumbs up. Anyone who, all of those who are in the video, yes. Great. Right, chalo. All right, so good night, and thank you everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Akash. Bye-bye. Thank you, Rutika.
Thank you all. Great night. Take care. And
Yep,
please
take care.
fill feedback form. I will share